These two handsome gents on the cat will be making out when it turns on. Is it live?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't want you to know.
Yeah,
I wasn't
What's going on, bud? How are we doing? Okay, hey, guess what, guys? We're in Pennsylvania right now. What specific town is this?
We are in a town right outside Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, which is northeast PA.
But most importantly, it's the home of PinballSTAR Amusements, which, Joe, this is your first time ever being on the Scream and Stream with us.
It is. I'm very excited.
Are you nervous?
It's making me tingle be sitting so close to you.
Here, I'll raise up the camera so it doesn't see the lower half of you.
Yeah, hide that. So we are in a really special location right now. We are in. Do you have a name for the?
You know, I
have to name it.
I haven't named it. I know everybody says you got to have a name. For right now, I just call it the Pinball Church.
Okay,
but
we're in the Pinball Church.
We're going to come up with a cool PinballSTAR related religious type of name of some sort.
And this church it's definitely caught some fame in the pinball community. People know about the PinballSTAR church, right?
A little bit.
Like Nap Arcade has an article about
your
church and everything. If it's on Nap, to me, that's just like mega pinball famous.
People know I'm a crazy collector.
Which I didn't realize how crazy of a collector you were until this. So like obviously we've known Joe for years. We've been doing business with Joe since like the beginning of Spooky Pinball. But me personally and Spooky Luke, who's off camera here, we never come and visited Joe like at his home and seen his collection or everything. And you really do have one of the craziest collections I think I've ever seen.
It's a little crazy. You may want to tell them that Jesus is right here.
Yeah, Jesus is in the room with us.
He's currently in the corner. He was bad. So.
he's in timeout. He's in timeout. But so tell us a little bit before we start to tour the church.
Sure.
We will have to move a little bit quickly just because the laptop's not on a charger. Tell us a little bit about how this came to be, how you ended up not only buying a church but filling it with your collection.
Well, the filling it part started. I've been in the hobby about 22 years. I started like everyone else around that time buying games from the 90s, Medieval Madness, Attack from Mars, all those great games. And as I got into pinball more, I loved everything that I touched. I loved everything that I saw. And I started going literally back one decade at a time. So I would go back to the 80s. I would buy games from the 80s and find some games that I liked from that era. I would go back to the 70s, find wedge heads. I went back into the 50s and 40s and found wood rails that I enjoyed. I love the artwork. We were talking about that earlier. And even back to pre-war pinballs that you saw. I have some of those at my house. I love it all. You put a quarter in it, whether it's pinball. I have a bunch of, at my house, mostly goofy arcade games, pitch and bats, gun games, all kinds of neat stuff.
I wish we could tie the house into this stream because there was some pieces in the basement there that were just
pretty wild.
I personally
never
like
even
the food
seen
the best.
Yeah, the food and the food. It's amazing.
So I've been amassing the collection over 2 decades. You know, obviously keeping the things that I like most and getting rid of over time the things that I didn't fall in love with. And then I just started. I used to, like everyone else, I would, if I got something new, I would sell it. Sell something else to make room for the new stuff, and then eventually at some point I started doing this nasty thing called storage. I started storing games that I couldn't part with because I love them so much, and eventually I ended up filling storage units, another office building that I own. I started taking rental units over in that building and storing games, and eventually at one point, right before COVID, I said, I think I need a building. I think I need just a building, a pole barn or something like that. And
a church made sense.
And I went out with my real estate agent. She was showing me, you know, commercial buildings. They were kind of dirty, needed a lot of work. They weren't really pretty buildings or really maybe conducive to operating PinballSTAR out of, having trucks come and go. So I kind of nixed everything she showed me on that first day, wasted her whole day. She called me back a few days later and said, I don't know if you're going to be interested in, but we have this church that's been on the market for quite some time, and do you want to look at it? And I thought, shit, that'll be fun. Let's go look at the church. I walked in here, and I kind of just started envisioning, because obviously it had the chapel room, there's a Sunday school room, just very big rooms that I was envisioning putting rows and rows of pinball machines in.
Sounds eerily similar to my experience buying my funeral home.
There you go. Yeah. So I ended up walking out to the parking lot, getting in my car. I called my wife. I said, I really think I'm going to buy this church. I'd like you to see it. And it kind of went from there. So this was our project. I bought the building in December of 19, and pretty much the whole year of 2020 was involved with moving everything in here with the help of a lot of good friends.
He means the whole year of 2020.
Yeah, pretty much.
We spent moving into this building.
Unpacking every game. So I have about 190 pinball machines and a lot of other quirky stuff that maybe we'll get to peek at that I like to collect. But that's kind of where it came from. Just a need for the business, a need because I was a super obsessive collector and I ran out of space. And the church ended up being a great kind of cool place to do all this in.
Well, I think we should start taking a look around the rest of the building and kind of showing these guys off this whole thing. Because, like,
Franchetti says, looks like Beavis and Butthead on the couch.
Fire, fire.
Might want to angle this up a little bit.
I got it.
You got it?
All right.
Get out of my way, you
Cameraman Lou.
caused enough camera problems.
Starting off with Pinball's most notoriously hard to sell feature, head-to-head machines.
Yeah.
Which I love head-to-head machines. I think they are some of the most fun you can have playing pinball with people, because everybody always complains when you're playing with good players, like, oh, you just watch them play the whole time. It's like, no, you can play against them. I've always loved that. But tell us more.
So this room, the neat thing about the church is I was able to section off different rooms that we have for different eras of pinball. Kind of being, I don't want to call myself a historian, but you know, I love you know, the eras and the different designers and the different artwork from different eras of games. So this room I just kind of call the Gottlieb room. It's kind of a lot of the Gottlieb games from the 1980s that everyone knows and loves. And I was able to fit in a couple kind of oddities here. Obviously, a lot of people know Joust. So we have the two-player head-to-head Joust game. This one is extremely rare. This is called Rat Race. And it's kind of like the game that you used to have when you were a kid, that you would roll a marble and kind of try to get the ball into different areas of the maze. So this was pretty much, it's a Williams game, probably modeled after Joust, same kind of cabinet, but basically you use these controls to manipulate the play field to shift, and then you see the ball there in the corner. The inserts will light up and you got to try to manipulate the ball all around the play field. So just a fun, cool game. It is a two-player game. People can, you know, you get timed, you know, sessions like a minute, and then you accomplish what you get to do in a minute. And then this one, although not as fun as I sort of expected it to be.
That's how I feel about basketball in general.
This is a prototype game, and again, because I love two-player things, this is a Gottlieb, and this is called one-on-one. And basically what you're doing is, it's nothing simpler than a basketball net rotating back and forth. You have two flippers down here. It shoots the ball up, and you're basically trying to make a ramp and get it into the basketball. And basically play basketball against each other, and no different than, you know, the hoops games that you see at the arcades. So, you know, some you know, prototype and rare type stuff that I've accumulated over the years and enjoy.
Pretty sure Stern just took this mech and put it in Shack Attack, if I'm not mistaken.
That could be it. And then obviously we've got, you know, the other Gottlieb games. You guys can walk around and kind of show the collection and some of the games that are there if you'd like.
Old school James Bond.
I can manage this, Luke, or if you'd like.
Yeah.
So we got.
I'll go ahead and do it. You keep talking, Joe. You keep.
So you got Hulk, Counterforce, James Bond, which is a time game, which is kind of cool. We got Pink Panther, Volcano.
We can go a little faster. Black Hole, absolute classic.
That was the
We're coming up on my
Luke's
favorite
first
game.
Girlfriend. Anyway, Haunted House, which Bud said was his favorite game.
My favorite game of all time.
And then
Haunted House.
the next game there I had to buy.
Now that feels wrong.
When I bought the church, I have a picture of us moving that in, and Satan staring there. So that was
and ever since then, he's just been waking up with weird scratches on his face.
And we got Rocky. One of the best Gottlieb games made, Spirit, just incredible sounds and great playfield layout.
Hubert.
Hubert.
Slightly infamous?
Yeah, it is, but it's not a great playing game. That Atari Superman game is a really good playing, fun game.
I love the artwork. Fantastic
and then,
artwork.
The two Pac-Mans, we've got Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man and Baby Pac-Man, and one cocktail.
And of course, over in our window over here,
some religious artifacts that I have restored or repainted, and I enjoy kind of making the motif of the church, very church-like. These are not original to the building. I kind of brought them in, except for the one creepy one right there.
But are they haunted?
You think it's haunted?
Absolutely.
This, I'm telling you, this place feels significantly more haunted than my funeral home does. All right, you got that?
That's possible.
Let's jump to the next room here, because as I said, we are on a battery, so... Need any help?
Yeah, maybe.
This was a very surprise stream. We didn't know we were going to be doing a church tour, per se. So we didn't exactly bring the appropriate equipment to be doing so. So we appreciate you guys showing up and sticking through some maybe minor camera difficulties that we may have. Old jukebox. Do you need fresh nuts? Because Joe's got some fresh nuts, baby.
Thanks, Luke. You're so kind.
All right. This will be here. I'll carry the camera through here since we gotta go kind of down
a
a skinny
tight,
hallway here.
Tight getting in here. We are in a little mode of packing for the Allentown Pinfest show. So we have all of our games and new in-box games wrapped up and stuff that we're bringing to the show. And I love collecting all kinds of crazy stuff. You got to get the Parade of Animals in it.
Bought at MJC auction.
Giraffe and street lights and fire hydrant.
We're catching up. Just bear with us.
That's okay. I'll keep talking.
I'll say they can still hear you wherever you go, so don't go pee. This room was really special when you showed us this room earlier.
And one thing that I always say is I don't think a lot of newer people in pinball appreciate the old games. And they may not be as fast or as fun as a lot of the newer games or have as many features. They play real slow. Some of the wood rails, I'm sorry. The wedge heads I love. Simple rules, tons of objectives to achieve, and they're really fun. So this is my collection. I've got about 6 or 7 wood rails here and wedge heads. I like add-a-balls. I like drop targets. So I kind of gravitate to having those type of games, add-a-ball games, and games with like dimension here that has, I think, 20 drop targets.
I was saying, now earlier when you were showing us, you were more specifically pointing out how in each of these games, there's,
sure.
You were pointing out it's the first game to do this, it's the first game to do that.
Pretty much each of these games has some sort of historical reference that I enjoy owning it. You know, maybe they're not the best playing game, but this game, Knockout, this is 1950s. I think it actually is 1950, but you know, you achieve the objectives by getting 1 through 5 or numbers down, and then what happens is these 2 little boxing guys, they're mechanical and they fight with each other, and then when one of them gets knocked down, the referee will raise his hand up and down. So really cool that back in the 1950s, some of these games had more mechanical action than today's games have. I'm joking. Very politically incorrect at this point, but we have a Minstrel Man game, and this was probably one of the first games that had drop targets. So if you hit the target, the stand-up target in front of the Minstrel Man behind, the Minstrel Man would drop into the playfield. So again, a little bit of a historical game there. And then these other games, this is Crossroads, Dragonette. Incredible artwork by Roy Parker, who's one of my favorite artists of that era. And you know, the games themselves, introduction of gobble holes, which scored points for you, but you also lost your ball. So it sometimes is a feature that you want to avoid while you're playing a game, which is kind of unique and fun, and maybe something you guys will incorporate into a spooky game at some point.
Next game has 5 gobble holes.
And then these down here, oh, this one is, I've got to talk about this one a little bit.
You're fine, don't mind me.
So this is a Bally game, Balls of Poppin', and I believe it probably is the first game that ever had multi-balls. So what you do during the course of the game is you roll over these silver switches, and you will accumulate wild balls as you go, 3, 4, whatever. And then at some point when you drop the ball in the saucer here, over in this corner of the playfield, it stores, I think, 10 different balls. And once you
calling you out on your fire detector.
I was wondering if they would point that out.
Once you drop that your ball in there, then all the multi-balls that you've accumulated, if you have 4 up here, it'll spit 4 extra balls out. And you can keep dropping it in there, and if you keep achieving more wild balls during the multi-ball, it'll keep advancing. So kind of a cool precursor to today's multi-ball, done on a wood rail pinball machine. So I have a question for you guys. You know why they stopped making wood rails and made them to be metal sides like they have over here?
Probably to do with smoking?
The war.
Not really.
The war.
Over here with bingo machines, what people used to do on bingo machines is they used to drill holes in the side of the game. And when they were, obviously these are known to be gambling devices. So they would drill holes in the side of the machine, and the kids would get a string and a coat hanger or something and put a string across the play field, and if they needed to hit a particular number, they would be able to manipulate the string to stop the ball and drop it in a number, pull the string out, and then go and collect their money.
I just want to know who brings their drill to an arcade.
I don't know. Well, kids that want to...
Can you imagine if you did that in 2024?
Free payouts.
I show up and I'm drilling through the side of an Elton John cabinet.
So from there, they started making metal sides on pinball machines. And then all these games, we don't have to talk about each one. There's nothing particularly unique or different. These are wedge heads, obviously because of the shape of the back box.
Some of my favorite art style.
Great
in all of pinball history.
Great art from the 60s. Again, Roy Parker on this one. I just love the cartoonish artwork. I don't love playing this game. I just love the artwork so much that it found a place in my collection. Some of these games are restored. The great restoration guy in Lower Pennsylvania, Nick Roshilla, who does my older games that warrant it. But I'm all about originality too. So if there's an old game that doesn't necessarily need to be restored, I'm not going to restore it. Only if it's really such a basket case that it needs to be done. And Nick does all the mechanics. He'll do all the artwork. He knows how to do splatter paint appropriately and not kind of ruin it. So that's kind of this room and the older room, and we're going to move over to the 1970s era of pinball.
Lead the way.
Let's go. Sorry for the tight quarters.
So Joe, is there anything you don't collect?
Well, it just kind of coin-op stuff. I have collected. I used to play ice hockey. I used to coach ice hockey, so I have kind of a nice collection of hockey sports memorabilia. I'm a New York Yankees fan for baseball, so I collect, signed baseballs from the Yankees. Those are kind of my two things: hockey, baseball, and once I found pinball, then all bets were off.
Now I know people are gonna be. They're like, hey, this hasn't seemed much like a church yet. Like, these have been hallways and stuff. We'll take just a little quick peek that direction. Okay, that's enough. We're going to get there. You guys just hang tight.
McDonald and Burger King in there?
We're getting there. We're getting there. There's so many rooms and hallways. Earlier when you were out, Luke and I were kind of left here alone to,
and like I said,
play games and everything.
It's kind of cool that each room that I had, I was able to figure out how to showcase or display the games, and everything in here works. Pretty meticulous. There's no junk in here. I have a tech, Ray Bracken's a wide area repair that comes up once a month, once every 2 months. He tweaks on games that need to be fixed. So this is just basically the pop culture 1970s games. You see Rolling Stones, Dolly Parton, Harlem Globetrotters, Star Trek, Playboy, and then over here we have Elton John, Captain Fantastic, and Evel Knievel. So just a great era of pinball. When they started using licenses. Prior to that.
Yep. Really sets up what comes next.
Yeah, and they pretty much, it was an easy pickings for them. They would pick, popular TV shows or musical artists like Dolly Parton or Rolling Stones, or pop culture stuff like Elton John and Evel Knievel and the Harlem Globetrotters. So
no, it's a great time capsule. If you come in, this is what was popular at the time. I assume I wasn't here.
Well, that's what I love about pinball too. Is it really is a good historical perspective of Americana at the time that these games were made. Both in artwork and social things and what was popular at that time. Do we have any questions, Bud, or anybody on the stream?
Yes, Hilton would like to know if you have the church designated as a religious organization.
In order to get tax benefits.
No, that's a great idea. I'm all about tax benefits.
No need. That is a very slick Globetrotters cabinet too. That is it's They're all in very, very good shape. Every game here is just top notch.
They've
been well loved.
I learned, good advice I can give people is, I have enough skills to know when I'm dangerous, both on the cosmetic and the mechanical stuff. And I got to a point where I didn't want to buy projects anymore and have to worry about restoring them unless it was an absolute game that I couldn't get otherwise. So I always try, if that means I have to buy 2 or 3 of a certain title to get to the point, not that I bought multiple Dolly Partons, but that's a hard game to find. So if I found one that was in really trashy shape, I would maybe buy it just to get one and play it for a while and see if it would work okay in the collection. And then if a better one came up, because it's a game that's in demand, I could easily sell. There's a lot of cases where I leapfrogged and upgraded the version of what I have to what I currently have. So why don't we hit the next room?
We do have one question of, what is your favorite machine?
Oh gosh, it is one of the first machines I ever bought, Twilight Zone.
Absolutely.
And Scooby-Doo. Now, I just love, Pat Lawler's my favorite designer.
I know, I keep forgetting how many rooms we have to get to before we're back to the charger. We'll start on this side.
Okay. And we can be kind of quick here. It's
I say people are pretty familiar with this row, but I do think you should probably take some time to talk about this game here.
Yeah, this one is kind of cool and a little special to me. I'm going to turn it on.
Joe's phone ringing in the background.
Yeah, sorry about that. I have that ringtone. It's the pinball. Does anyone else have that?
No. Yeah, some of our employees, they now have that ringtone because they just think it's the best.
So this game, as you can see, is a little bit of a Frankenstein type of game. It's made with a plywood cabinet and a Road Kings playfield. And back in the day when Pat Lawler and George Gomez and the designers of that era in the 80s and 90s had a new idea for a game. They typically, I think there was a lot of competition between the design teams at that point, and they worked separately and they wouldn't share their ideas with the other guys on the other design team. So Pat Lawler actually made this at his home in his garage, and he wanted to make a vertical playfield. He thought, okay, I'm going to see if I can get this to work. And he created this game. He called it Wrecking Ball. He created a working vertical cabinet and created the playfield on a construction theme. And basically then what he would do is he would take it into Williams and show it to the muckety mucks and say, here's the idea for the next game I want to make. And from what I understand, this was actually rejected, and they did not want to make Wrecking Ball. They did not want to make a vertical playfield for whatever reason, and it was shelved. And then from what I understand, a year or two later, they came back and revisited it and made this, which we all know is Bonsai Run. So it's kind of cool to have the original prototype of Wrecking Ball.
So you can kind of, hopefully they can see well enough on there, the differences between the back boxes, the back box playfield, the layout changes that happened between these revisions. 2
lower flippers, 1 upper flipper, and over here on this one you've got 4 flippers. And if you notice, you've got the same kind of mechanism. It's made with homemade stuff. I mean, there's a magnet there that he probably bought at the hardware store. That's an old phone cord that actually was the phone cord that helped bring it up top, and then a piece of rope that tied it up, and the magnet would grab the ball. No different than here, but obviously on Bonsai Run it was cleaned up and looks nicer and was hidden from behind the playfield. So the upper playfields are totally different, but the lower playfields, the main playfields, are pretty much very similar. A couple inserts are in different spots, but pretty much you have the same features. You have a ramp and out lanes, and pop bumpers are pretty much in the same position. So kind of cool. It's kind of neat to see these two things together. And like I said, Pat Lawler is my favorite designer, so it's kind of cool to kind of have the opportunity.
Joe, I'm supposed to tell you that Carolina Kenny is watching.
Carolina Kenny, he is a lot of fun. He's a good guy. He shows up in Allentown, drives up from North Carolina, and him and his buddy Scott always give me a hard time.
Franchi would like to know if you consider this a separation of church and solid state.
That's a clever one.
Yeah,
I like that.
So Bug, if you want to turn the camera over here, we can kind of just maybe walk down and show the collection here. You know,
here. I got a good angle here.
Other quirky thing I do in my collection is everything is, you know, some people organize their games by theme, by maybe manufacturer. I'm kind of anal in the respect that I put my games in chronological order. So I kind of like seeing the progression of the games and how they were made and the features that they added over time, whether it be, you know, score reels to, you know, alphanumeric displays and things like that. So again, just games that I enjoy over time, a lot of drop target heavy games, nothing really rare or unusual other than Neptune, which was a recent purchase, which is kind of a little bit of a rarer game. The last game I bought was Ali. The first game I ever bought was Twilight Zone, and that remains my favorite game, and Ali is the most recent game I bought. Again, lots of drop targets, a little bit of a rare game from Stern. Great game, Stern Sea Witch. And then a lot of the classics, 8 Ball Deluxe, Fathom, and then we get into you know, the Bally Williams era of just some of these great games. Taxi, Earthshaker, Black Knight 2000, Bad Cats. Over here we get into Whirlwind, Diner, Dr. Dude, and then we start on the DMD era. And one thing that I am proud of that I have is I do own every Bally Williams DMD era game. So it was kind of fun after I bought the church. I had maybe 6 or 7 that I didn't own. Gilligan's was one of them. Black Rose was one. Indianapolis 500 was another one. So it was kind of cool over time to then, you know, fill in the gaps of the DMD games that I didn't own and didn't have. So it's kind of cool that I have here on display at the church every DMD game from Bally and Williams of the late 80s and 90s.
There we have Led Zeppelin.
So we'll let you guys walk
Black
around
Rose.
and see.
You take the lead on us. It works better that way.
See the titles.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, me? Okay, I'm sorry. So all the great games that, you know, at least I started collecting, and, you know, I want to remind everybody gets hung up, and sorry guys, I know you own a pinball company, but, and I own a distributor, so maybe I should keep my mouth shut, but these games from the 90s, you don't always have to buy a brand new game in a box to have a great collection. There's so many.
Hey Joe, shut the hell up. How about you shut the stream? How about you shut up, Joe?
Yeah, no, but you know, people don't have to spend $10,000 on a new game to start a collection. You know, they could buy a couple older games. You know, from
I don't recommend anybody starts
80s
with new.
or 90s and end up. You know, end up with a great collection, have great playing games. Some of these games from the 90s, you have to agree, Bob, that these are some of the best pinball machines ever made.
We're walking up to what I think is severely underrated game. Can you guess which one I'm going to say? Flintstones. One of the most underrated games in my opinion. Absolutely love Flintstones.
It is a fun game. Oh, and the dinosaur, he eats the ball.
He eats the ball.
Yeah, like who would have ever thought of that? I'm going to hell for that.
Joe's trying to get us in trouble.
Well, I said that, not you guys. I'm joking.
We probably should have turned all these on first, huh?
Yeah, I know, that would have been cool.
That's okay.
We should have
The whole block would have shut down on power.
I was going to say, we...
Supposedly we should be able to turn everything on. You know, we hope to have some events here at some point. I'm a little tight with zoning because being a church, I wasn't able to open an arcade. This is never going to be a pay-to-play type of place. Hopefully at some point I can you know, start to have some parties and events here for customers and friends and stuff like that. So we can walk out and head out to the main big room. Bug, if you want to turn the camera on the other.
That's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to do it without showing the top of my melon.
We've done it. Jackpot, Congo. Bug, what's your favorite DMD 90s game?
DMD 90s game. You know, I actually used to say Champion Pub pretty regularly. Champion Pub was one of my favorites. Luke Peters has really turned me on to Congo. Love Congo. But I'm going to go Scared Stiff. I actually just streamed this game last week. And I don't think it's the best one, but it's the one I get tired of the least. Like, I never ever get tired of going back and playing Scared Stiff. I find it to be incredibly replayable. Not that you need replayability when you have 190 games.
So I have to ask, what do you think of Safecracker?
That is actually AJ. So Spooky AJ, our tech. That is his favorite game.
Is it?
Of all time. Yeah, he loves Safecracker.
I don't know that it would be a favorite game, but again, just being a Pat Lawler fan and loving unique, different stuff, it's just a cool game that, you know, little mini play field, but it actually plays really well, like a regular pinball machine. And then if people don't know, they made tokens. So you actually play here on the backlash, you play a board game. You get into a certain mode, and you actually play a board game where you progress, and then the police officer, the security guard, starts chasing you, and you have to try to get in the center before you get caught by rolling dice and things like that. And if you succeed and you break into the safe, they made little tokens, Safecracker tokens, which are stored in a tube in the back, and this little slot right here. So if you were good enough, not necessarily on the pinball game, but on the board game, a little token would come out of the slot here and come down the playfield. You guys are laughing at something.
Nothing. Nothing. We're gonna move on. Nothing. I'm mic'd up. I can't even like quietly laugh. Okay, let's get to the real meat and potatoes of the church. Let's get to the church part of the church.
Sure. We don't have to go down each aisle here. We can.
So that would be helpful if you could do that.
So this is the chapel. This is the main room of the church. The other room that we were just in, they called the Sunday school room, which was kind of big. So this was an actual church. There were pews down each side of the aisles here, which I conveniently took out and turned into pinball heaven.
You got it from here?
Mm-hmm. And then we have, there is an altar up there. I don't have it formally decorated yet. I have a lot of stuff that I want to put up on walls. I collect some unusual stuff like banners, sideshow banners and different things.
He's just leaving. He's left the building.
He's going to climb up there. He is going to give Ronald McDonald a hug, I think. Or he's going to preach. He's going to preach pinball. There you go.
Move down, Joe. We'll scan. We'll show everybody your.
Oh.
This is incredible. This is a church. Like, I don't have that sound, but like we are in a church right now. This is a pinball church.
Sorry for the games in the middle here blocking our path and our view, but again, we're getting ready for the Allentown Pin Fest, so we had to make use of some space. So these two rows are basically all the Stern games. I have every modern Stern, starting with Striker Extreme up to James Bond here at the end. Some of the more recent ones I have at my house, like Foo Fighters, which we played last night, and I beat Bug.
I don't think that happened.
And it was even designed by your father.
My dad.
Your dad, Jack Danger.
It was a very fun game. We had a good time playing games in Joe's basement last night, just hanging out.
So we'll come over here. There's another row of.
I wanted to point out to everybody, this is probably the nicest Austin Powers you will ever see. Every time I see this game, it's typically only at shows, and it's always just destroyed. I don't know what they did to these poor games back in the day, but they just brutalized Austin Powers, which is a shame, because I love those movies. So one of the nicest Austin Powers ever.
Well, just basically all the Stern games here. I am an average pinball player. I am not an A player by any means. I can hold my own and do well and enjoy our local pinball league at our friend JP Himes, Bartari.
We're going to shout out.
Can't wait.
We will be making an appearance tonight there.
Can't wait.
A little surprise for JP. If he's
I hope he doesn't see this beforehand, because he doesn't know yet.
We were going to surprise.
Don't say anything. It's going to be kind of a surprise. We're trying to keep it warm.
So basically, all the Stern games here. I have a rule when I come here, Bud, that every time I come here, a lot of times I'll just, if I'm not working, I'll stop in and I will drop parts off, or I will ship something, or ship a game or meet a truck for deliveries and stuff. I don't work in this building full time. I have another office that I run PinballSTAR out of. But I have a rule whenever I come here. You know what that rule is?
What is the rule?
The rule is I have to play one pinball game before I leave. It doesn't matter if I'm late to where I have to go. It doesn't matter if it's snowing
Almost
out.
2.
It doesn't matter if the heat's not on.
Yeah, he says 1, but when it's set to 5 ball.
So that was my rule when I
two
bought the
games,
building. I didn't want to turn this into just work, which a lot of times happens when people turn a hobby into a business. I make sure every time I walk in this building, I turn a machine on, I play one full game of whatever it is, and I mix it up. Sometimes I'll play wood rail, sometimes I'll play a more modern game.
To point out the first ever dual theme. Shrek.
And
you gotta get a Family Guy next to it.
We were talking yesterday. You guys said that every game you make thus far is going to be a dual theme.
No, I think we said the exact opposite.
Yeah, they did. I really do like the dual themes. I think you guys do a good job.
Somebody says, "Oh my God, he has a real Burger King man."
Yeah, we should show off some of the other collectibles you have around here besides pinball.
Yeah, why don't you come on?
I've really found some items, to say the least.
Here, let's. Here, you can help me.
Okay, what are we doing?
Why don't you step back, Luke, and
Put it in reverse, Terry.
so like I said, I really like collecting. You gotta get that. I like collecting odd stuff. So part of
Here's the
decorating.
thumbnail coming up.
Part of decorating the church is I collect. These are old sideshow banners, and these are authentic.
No way.
There are artists that are very well known, very much unlike Christopher Franchi, who are the best at what they did during that era. This is done by Fred Johnson. The signature is down there in the corner.
This is incredible.
And this is one of Fred Johnson's. Now, there are a lot of his pieces. They go for good money. But Fred Johnson worked in the circus and sideshow and carnival arena for probably 40 or 50 years. So he had made thousands of these banners. He would paint a banner every day, every week, or whatnot.
This is the coolest thing you've showed me so far.
I
find this one fascinating.
I have like 10 of them, and they are going to be placed on the altar. They're going to be placed in different areas of the church, and I just want to decorate it kind of like with a lot of this quirky stuff that I enjoy in my personality. That I've collected over the years and just really never had a chance to display. So yeah, I've got other ones. I have one that's the Fat Man. I have babies with 6 heads, like all that cool stuff.
This is one of the coolest things I think.
Hey, maybe there's a spooky theme. Maybe sideshow freaks would be a great theme for spooky pinball.
Babies with 6 heads pinball.
Well, you don't have to call them freaks. You can call them.
You could
call them something else.
Okay,
you don't have to worry about that. You can just throw that up there.
Let's keep going this way.
Yeah, come on, we'll come over here.
We don't have to go down. I say that like over and up to show a certain, but it is an incredibly impressive. Do you need help over there?
Nope. What could possibly go wrong?
So you had some.
Hey, Luke, don't put the camera on me for a second.
Don't show Joe.
Okay.
Eyes on me. Eyes on me. Are we enjoying the church tour, everybody? It's been pretty special. You can show this row off real quick, too.
I did, yeah.
Oh, goodness. Oh. It's about to get weirder. You can't see what's even going on right now. That's the best part.
I don't even know what's happening.
Okay.
Did Joe just nut?
Oddly enough, you're not far off. This is horrifying.
Mr. Peanut.
Yeah, you're still mic'd up, so you don't even have to worry about being muffled in there.
Yeah, that's the best part about the lapels.
So, yeah, I like all kinds of crazy stuff. This is a costume of Mr. Peanut. By the way,
I like all sorts of crazy stuff he says inside Mr. Peanut. Yeah.
If you guys want a little piece of history, where was Mr. Peanut invented? Where were Planters Peanuts founded?
I don't know.
Right here in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
yeah.
So everybody has one of these in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So it's kind of like customary that I have to have one of these. But this is going to go down as the creepiest stream you've ever done.
I can't talk to you right now.
They said this just turned into the first 20 minutes of a Rob Zombie movie.
You know, I noticed only the spooky games are on. It's because they're the only ones worth playing, right, Joe? Right?
Go silent.
Just sit right. Here's some history for you folks.
Yeah, this is the pinball history. Row. Luke, why don't you come down here and start?
Yeah, no problem.
I am very proud to say that I own and have displayed every spooky pinball machine ever made, even the shitty ones. But that game hasn't been made yet. That's your next game, maybe, or the game after.
It's not the next one. I promise that.
It's never been made. But I'm very proud to say that I've had a friendship with your dad, your mom, and your sister Morgan, and your whole family for well over a decade, probably 13, 14 years. I never knew it, but Chuck had told me at one point that I was his first customer for America's Most Haunted. And he said once someone bought the game, somebody, which he said as stupid as Joe Newhart, sent me money for a pinball machine that I made. He kind of figured he can maybe make a go of it as a pinball company. So that always made me proud. And
so that was how you met my father?
That's how I met your dad. And then from there, after purchasing the game, I had PinballSTAR, and you guys did the podcast, the Spooky Pinball podcast. So I suggested to Charlie, I said, why don't you allow me to sponsor? I'll give you some money every month. And it was a ridiculously low amount of money because your dad just was.
He's like, $20, that's lunch for the whole week.
Such a generous guy. I think it was $100 a month or $75 a month. And
that was actually what I ate off of.
There you go. So you owe me something. So we started doing the podcast, and every podcast I'd have a segment on there called the Pinball Star of the Month, and what I would do is bring people to the podcast that were maybe not designers, like that Clay Harrell had done all those great interviews on This Old Pinball podcast, and he would have all the designers and company people on. I said to Charlie, I said, let me bring people that are totally different in the hobby. Let me bring a collector. Let me bring an operator. Let me bring a show promoter. Let me bring a repair guy and stuff. So we had all different.
Which is really smart.
It was unique because it brought different people to talk about what they did in the hobby versus just I design a game. No offense, but
and this was back before there was a million gajillion pinball podcasts where everybody had everybody in the industry on them as well.
It was really, Clay had stopped doing what he did, and your family had the Spooky Pinball podcast. So we did that for a few years. We had a lot of fun. They are still available. I don't know if they're still linked on the website or not, but
oh, they are.
They are. So they're cool. We had some really fun ones. We had some great interviews that we laughed our ass off, and then we had some really bad ones that your dad and I would text each other. Can we kill me now? Like, can this end soon?
We won't say which ones those were.
No, that's just maybe not the best guest, or maybe not the most positive people in the hobby. But from there, my friendship with the Spooky Pinball crew emerged, and very proud and very happy to have you guys here today to see every one of your games ever made, with the exception of Halloween, which I still have in the box over there, and Looney Tunes, which is at my house.
That's your house. We already played it.
We played it yesterday. Today I took the glass off every one of these games. I had Bug and Luke sign my aprons because I am a fanboy, in addition to just being a person in business with these guys. I appreciate what you guys do for the hobby. I appreciate your honesty. I would appreciate your passion for what you do. I always tell people these guys care. Spooky Pinball, and a lot of places in pinball care, but a lot of times it's more of a business sometimes than it is about building relationships. It's about making a sale, and you guys definitely aren't made like that. You guys are just passionate about pinball. You travel to shows, and you have the reputation and the love in the community, so thank you very much.
We're here for Allentown early just because we wanted to hang out with Joe for a few days before we do the show.
So Bud, why don't you talk about each of the pinball machines historically? I know you were probably 3 when some of these were made.
I'll give you guys what I was up to each year when these came out. So
Play-by-play of
when
puberty.
this came out, I had a Bruce Lee haircut. I was very into Taekwondo, and I just started learning the drums. No, but yeah, I mean, so like Joe said, this is every single spooky pinball game in history, close to every single spooky pinball game in history in order. AMH coming out in 2013. I want to say it's probably officially 2014, but really the creation was 2013. And yeah, that's why it's the game that started everything, obviously. I mean, that's where we started building relationships with people like Joe Newhart, who you really bought the first one.
That's what your dad told me, unless he lied to me to make me feel good.
Oh, I'll have to check with him after
the
interview.
Yeah, if it's untrue, then don't tell me.
I won't, yeah, no. But going down the line, I mean, then we jumped over to Rob Zombie. Everything from AMH got transferred over to Rob Zombie. Every penny that was somewhat made from doing AMH all got funneled into our next game, Rob Zombie, which was just, I remember talking with Dad. He was like, what themes would we do? Like, I'd love to do Godzilla, but I think that's out of reach for us and everything. And
I think
so we were just both obsessed with Rob Zombie. Of course, growing up, we were super fans and everything. And I remember telling him, like, Rob Zombie would be super awesome, and we were both all about it. And I don't remember quite how he got the connections to it, but like I said, everything from AMH got funneled into Zombie. And then we get to legendary.
Can I ask you a question about Rob Zombie?
Ask me. I would prefer you interview me on these more than me explaining them.
Do you know who delivered Rob Zombie's personal game to him?
It wasn't you directly, was it? It was one of your guys, or was it you?
It was me.
It was you, yeah. Yeah.
So I had the opportunity, for various reasons, that maybe proximity. Rob has a place in a state nearby, which will remain unnamed.
I was gonna say, careful.
He just doxes him on the slide.
I delivered it to.
I may or may not have his address and the cell phone number of his assistant. I'm not sure, but no, it was pretty cool. Charlie called me and said, "Hey, I was going to deliver it, but I can't make it. I was wondering if you would mind delivering Rob Zombie's personal Rob Zombie game." And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. Let's do that." Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to meet him. He was not there that day, but I did get a chance to go into his
Joe broke into his house.
His secret man cave lair, which was, I'll say, it was a barn, which was really cool, decorated with a lot of his artwork, a lot of crazy stuff that he owns, that he collected, gold records, all that kind of stuff. So that was a cool experience, and I appreciate, you know, one little great thing about being a distributor, sometimes you get to meet, you know, celebrities or cool people. I delivered a game to Neil Patrick Harris. He wanted a Houdini because he is a magician, and his manager bought him a Houdini game from American Pinball, and I delivered that to his townhouse in New York City. So,
guys, we gotta shut this down. Bugs antivirus protection just expired.
Oh no, we could be swarmed. So Joe, you have to tell me, what was your honest thoughts when my dad told you Dominoes?
I thought it was weird, but it was a contract job that I thought was fine. I'm going to be honest with you. I mentioned before, jokingly, the shittiest spooky pinball. I probably, and I'm not going to use that phrase for this game because I really appreciate that it was made and what it was made for. It's probably my least favorite spooky, only because it is very similar in design and playful layout to America's Most Haunted. You know, we have the Noid on there who replaces the Ghost, and the ramps are kind of similar. So that's the only reason. Other than that, I think it's a cool game. I like the fact that it's a very low production, you know, unique game that you guys did.
We get asked about Dominoes probably more than any other pinball machine when we're out in public.
The number one machine two machines, and they're right here, that people ask me about at pinball shows is Dominoes and Jetsons. They are sort of legendary at this point, of like only 100 of each pretty much got made, and just people couldn't believe that it happened. And I swear to, at the time, it really made sense for us to go and do these. We really needed it.
So I never had purchased Jetsons. I kind of just, not that I didn't consider it a spooky game. You guys made it, but I know it wasn't designed in-house.
Yeah, we built it.
As
it was
a
not
spooky
our game.
You built it, and I know it was Nick Parks, right, from the Pinball Company, a fellow distributor, was behind the project, I guess, getting the license and things. I really enjoy it. It's a great starter pinball. It has simple rules. Basically, you spell each of the characters by making ramps and loops and stuff like that. So I enjoy it.
Ultraman's chirping up over
Yeah,
there.
Ultraman's jamming out in the background.
So I love that game.
Jetson's one of my that's one of my favorites of ours to go back and play because of all the reasons you said. It's very simple layout, very simple rules. You don't have to think when you're playing Jetsons. You can just enjoy yourself, play with your friends, put some games on there. And then we get to where, in my opinion, we really started coming into our own. Every game from this point on forward, I think, is what we are today.
I believe so. You have to give props to everyone's great friend, Scott Denisi, who did a great job in designing this game, putting his fantastic electronic music that he makes from scratch into the game, the artwork, and it's being, the risk that you guys took in making a single level game that nobody had done before. Obviously.
A risk that we were in no place to be taking risks at that time at all either.
But it worked out great. It ended up being a game that was probably, well, definitely, it was your highest selling game.
This was by far and away our most well-received game when this came out.
Yeah, so kind of remarkable that it just didn't have all the bells and whistles. It had the inline drops and the ball locks, and just great music and.
Core, when you're Francie says your mic isn't on.
Is that mine?
Oh, did you turn your mic off?
I don't know.
He says yours isn't on.
It
should be.
Come check over here once.
Yeah.
I thought I seen yours was still off. If you go to the audio mixer. That's what I was asking about.
Technology.
Oh, no, it should be hooked up.
Here. You can go to the audio mixer.
Oh God, I'm putting my head in the whole ass camera right now.
You never
check.
You never turned it on.
Check. Nope, that's a different thing.
Well, I don't know then.
Check. No, it's on. It's on. I'm just probably being too quiet. We should be good, y'all. Okay.
So great game that kind of brought Spooky Pinball up to the next level. I think, and this is the remarkable thing for me as a distributor even, and as a collector, that selling your games, every game has been really not just an improvement in terms of, the artwork and the gameplay and the rule set and stuff like that, but every game you guys just up it up from, the prior games. And, people think I'm joking, like, every game that you guys come out with, you always, the distributor's going to say, oh, it's the best one they ever did. But I actually, with you guys, I believe that, and I mean it when I say it.
We talk about that all the time. I tell people the same thing. I always feel like I'm just a lying. I feel so bad when it sounds like such bullshit when I say, like, oh, our current one really is our best game. But if you look down the row in order, it really makes sense as far as the improvements go. The improvements to code, layout, fit and finish. Everything, it always just keeps getting better.
Yeah. So let's move on to Alice Cooper.
Yes.
So tell me, what was it like to work with Alice Cooper again, another probably musical hero of your family?
He was the worst, man. He was just so mean. No, he was literally the coolest, the easiest human being I think we've ever worked with in our entire careers. Just absolutely fantastic guy. Really let us have all the creative freedoms that we wanted on the machine. I think the one bit of feedback they had at all in the whole development of the game was the nose was too pointy. So we had to adjust the nose a little bit, and that was Alice's one bit of feedback. That was his one complaint. So we fixed that.
I think it's got the most incredible art package of not just any spooky game, but any modern game that's come out in the last 10 years.
Jeff Zornow, very underrated.
The art package is just phenomenal, from the playfield to just even the gameplay and the theme of the game of discovering different rooms in the castle, and pretty much the term "world under glass." You guys have created that with Matt's sculpts on the game, and just what he created with the castle and the walls. And
I think Alice Cooper has some of the best longevity of any of the games we've ever made. It's a fantastic game to have in your collection because it never gets old.
And you don't have to be a fan of the music, because it doesn't.
No, it's a cool world.
It doesn't just play like. Yeah,
it's not a greatest hits machine.
Yeah, I'm not going to pick on any other.
Yeah,
exactly. A pinball jukebox. It's not that. It uses the music as a background for the gameplay, and not just necessarily, hey, you're playing, this song now, so we're going to play this song for 3 minutes straight and then loop it again. It's really integrated with the game. This was by far where the craziness started for Spooky Pinball.
This is where it started getting really wild over in Spooky Land.
With the sellouts on day one, and just the craziness with So you guys, had lightning in a bottle with this theme. I remember you telling me about getting this theme that no other pinball company had really paid attention to it, and you guys kind of stumbled on it for various reasons.
Yeah.
I know at a particular marketing and show for licenses, but you ended up getting lightning in a bottle, and it ended up being at that point your best-selling game, and just an amazing fun.
You could never time a game better than we somehow did on Rick and Morty, where we hit it just right at the show's pinnacle. It was new and fresh, but it was just really starting to catch on at that time, and everybody was starting to really get into it. We couldn't have timed it better when we did that game. I still don't know how we pulled that off.
But it was really cool from the standpoint of you guys just starting to increase production numbers and making Alice Cooper. I kind of remember the numbers. I don't remember Mark was almost on it. Maybe
150.
150.
Yep.
Rob Zombie was 300, and then we went to
550, and then 500.
750.
750. Ultraman technically 500. With the dual themes, Halloween was 1250, so 1250 and 500, and Scooby-Doo 1969.
Yeah. So it was kind of really neat to be a part of that as a distributor and just see you guys every game leapfrog your production numbers. And initially we just had spooky fans and spooky customers that bought every spooky, and it was always cool with every new game. And as you guys branched out from not just doing spooky related type things, and you got into Scooby-Doo and Rick and Morty, that you guys were then able to bring in a new class of customers that were maybe JJP customers, Stern customers, and maybe never tried a spooky before, and we got a chance to let them experience a spooky game because they like the theme. A lot of people just buy based on themes, which, by the way, these guys have some juggernauts coming up. Juggernauts, like huge, big themes. I don't know if they're going to be pissed that I say this, but I am so excited. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but they're really great themes that are coming from Spooky Pinball. So good stuff. Yeah, they've got Britney Spears, and the dual theme is going to be Taylor Swift. She's at the pinnacle right now.
Barbenheimer.
Oh, no, good things coming from Spooky.
On that note, no, honestly, it's no secret. Pinball is one hell of an industry. It's a very hard industry to be working in. And getting to work with people like Joe Newhart here is hands down one of the things that makes it worth doing for us. We absolutely love the experiences that we get. We love the people that we get to work with. And we hope we can keep just doing this forever, because I can't imagine doing anything else at this point. I can't imagine not seeing Joe every year in Pennsylvania for a show.
And now I'm going to make an annual trek up to Benton, Wisconsin every year, because we had a lot of fun. Back in December before the Looney Tunes and Texas reveal, we had a good time up there, and we're going to make it a little bit of a longer trip, and we'll do that.
I'm being instructed to get you some drinks, Joe.
Oh!
I got to show everyone this real quick.
Actually.
Yeah.
We got it right here.
Yeah, let's show off this one last row here, and then.
All right, no. I got to show them this box here.
Oh, Joe Person.
Still got his Halloween in there.
Still has the Halloween in box. So what's the next steps for the church?
Well, I am unfortunately out of room at the church, which means I need
He's
another.
out of room.
If you guys can see, yeah. Look, there's no spot for.
Hold the camera up. You can go really high with that camera.
Well, you can go up on the altar and kind of.
Where's
the whole room?
Where is Looney Tunes, Joe? Can you show
Looney Tunes is at my house. I always keep the most recent games at my house. Because that's where I live and I'm there most often, so I enjoy learning and playing the newest games. So I just unfortunately had to move Scooby-Doo out of my house, which I didn't want to do, but I needed to make room for Looney Tunes, and we had a spot here at the end of Spooky Row to do that. And then the rest of this row, we've got the Jersey Jack games down there in the end, and it might be worthwhile to walk down this row because there are some unique.
You have some unique games over here on this row.
And rare things. These two games here, people may know them, but not in this, at least one of them not in this iteration. We've got Wrath of Olympus and Legends of Valhalla, which are the two prototype games that were made by my buddies at Riot Pinball that made these. We have Scott and Frank, the programmer. Frank is from Philadelphia. We'll see him at the show. And I created a friendship with these guys. We were hopefully going to, sell for them if they became a company. They ended up successfully selling this title to American Pinball, and they made Legends of Valhalla. And if you notice, this one's a little bit different than the American Pinball game. And then we've got Big Lebowski, Full Throttle, Aliens, a lot of the newer games. We've got a game here that I do enjoy, and people do not have a lot of good things to say about it, but there is a lot of mechanical stuff going on with Thunderbirds.
I would love to find out more about this one, because everybody bashes it to no end, but I've never really played it. I don't know if it's actually what they say it is. We have one at our shop right now, coincidentally, that I've been wanting to stream on. It's just been hard to work it into the schedule.
This one is kind of a rare game. There were only 10 of them total made. Team Pinball was a group of folks from England that had previously worked for Andrew Highway at Highway Pinball, and they made this game, single level game, with the LCD screen called the Mafia, kind of a throwback to the EM style of games. We have the P3 platform here with Jerry Stellenberg, who does an incredible job with his creativity and all the great games that he's been making on this platform. Currently I have Heist installed. I like keeping the modules. They're making the games a little bit faster than I get bored of them, so I'm a couple games behind. They've since made Weird Al, and Final Resistance is the next game that they've created. We got Cosmic Carnival here, which is currently not working, so that's a problem. We've got 2 games from Spain.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Jolly Park and Burns World. Jolly Park is currently down, unfortunately, because I have an issue with a board, and they are irreplaceable, so I got to work on getting that repaired. But just great games with so much mechanical stuff. Jolly Park is, like it sounds, themed on an amusement park. You've got people in bumper cars as pop bumpers. You've got a magnetic house.
The lighting outside's making it so hard to see. I'm trying to fight that.
You've got a haunted house. So if you see this game at a show, or you travel to some great pinball locations such as Rob Burke's. Nope, bug just fell over.
I'm just showing them the windows that I'm fighting against right now. A lot of light.
Evil Dead fan wants to know if you get paid at all.
I get paid
the last row down here,
love.
Just a small collection of games that I only have a few number of certain manufacturers. I've got 2 games from Capcom, Pinball Magic, and Big Bang Bar, which was a remake that was made by Gene Cunningham when he was remaking this game back in the late 2000s, and he supposedly lost a lot of money making this remake and still continued to force his way through and made the game despite losing a lot of money doing it. So a lot of credit to the late Gene Cunningham. And 3 Data East games, which are my favorite from that manufacturer, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Tommy, and Guns N' Roses, who I was lucky enough to meet Slash back in 2017 at one of his concerts, and Slash signed the backlash for me, which is kind of cool. And then Jersey Jack Row here, Wizard of Oz.
There's a reason that Pirates is on. Let's just say.
Bud was playing it.
There's also a reason we started 5 minutes late.
Just all the great Jersey Jack games. Hobbit, Dialed In, Pirates, Willy Wonka, Guns N' Roses. Again, I'm great friends with Jack Winery. He's just a great individual and a great asset to the hobby. And I always say that Jack started the resurgence of pinball because of creating Wizard of Oz and kind of creating games that had LCD screen, mechanical things back on the game like they did years ago, and all the pinball companies, including Spooky, exist today because of what Jack did, taking a chance and building this great game behind me.
All likeness rights in Hollywood should be sending Jack a thank you.
Yeah.
That LCD.
Oh, the LCD. Thanks, Jack, for tripling our workload. All right, well, let's get back in front of the Spooky games before we sign off here and say goodbye to everybody. Let's get a good shot of all of them. Come this way, Luke.
He's just pointing at me now. Don't mind me.
Look at this.
Around.
Round of applause for Spooky Luke. toting around the laptop and the cameras and
He's
putting
only
up with
saying that
us.
'cause he saw my red, angry face before he started this.
All right, the spooky row. Let's get over there, Joe,
Okay.
before we say good night. Well, not good night, good afternoon.
We got to get Luke over here too.
Oh boy.
We get Luke over here. I'm gonna hold this.
We
hand.
don't know what it looks like.
There we
Joe.
go.
This is gonna be awkward because we're gonna say goodbye, and then I gotta run over and hit stop streaming.
So,
All right,
Screenshot.
yeah, there you go. That's a good call. But Joe, thank you for having us in your church Casa Mojo Dojo house here.
Wonderful. Well, it was great having you guys. I'm glad you guys took the time before the Allentown show, and we will be at the Allentown show. We will have 3 Looney Tunes, 2 Texas Chainsaw Massacres, and 1 Scooby-Doo set up. So we're going to have, the majority of our booth is going to be Spooky Pinball because these guys brought so many games to the booth for everybody to enjoy. So we hope to see you there. We are going to be selling games. We are going to be experiencing games and making new friends and customers and all that good stuff. So come by the Allentown show Thursday and Friday in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It is a short drive from everywhere except if you live in Idaho.